tuned into The Truth with G. Inspire, educate, and uplift. If you can't handle the truth, this ain't the show for you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So sit back, relax, and buckle up and enjoy this ride.
The Truth with G. The Truth with G. The Truth with G. All right. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Truth with G on WPMM Internet Radio. I am your boy, Gerald Graham. You know me as G. Once again, we're back to talk about the issues that matter to you and your community. It is Thursday, whatever the 16th of March. This month is rolling right along. But it's Thursday. We are headed toward the weekend. Weekend is the best part of my week because I don't have to deal with the folks on the job on the weekend. But hope all is doing well. Hope you have had a great start to your week and hope you end the week even better. Wishing you a safe weekend. I know it's spring break. Kids are out of school in Escambia County, Florida, on their spring break. So, the weather's been cool. It's been nice, but it's been cool. But at least they should be able to get out and enjoy the weather, as long as they're doing it safely. Not as long as they acting like idiots, But it's the last long break that the kids have from school until the end of the school year, and I seem like we just started talking about the beginning of the school year, and we're already on the end. So, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in right here on WPMM Internet Radio to listen to the old guy. Today this Topics Thursday. We'll be discussing a few topics tonight. One being the church. What is the church doing in the community? What is your church doing in the community? We're going to ask that question tonight. Also, we're going to take a look at some local stories here as well. Situations going on in Escambia County, Florida, but particularly with the violence. I want to hit on the situation with this Club Climax here in Pensacola as well. So. And I'm sorry, you guys. I was looking for an ink pen. I don't see one on my desk. But anyway, I'll talk about that as well, and some local, state, and national stories that are going on in the news, things that you need to be aware of. But once again, thank you for joining me. We are here every Monday, Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. on WPMM Radio. WPMMInternet.com is the website. And we are WPMM Radio. We play more music. We play the best in R&B, jazz, talk, neo, soul, independent, hip-hop, old school music. You can listen to WPMM on our website at WPMMradio.com. We're on TuneIn. We're on iTunes Radio. You can also tell Alexa to play WPMM. She will oblige. You can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store and download the app. It's a free app to download the app to any mobile device, computer, what have you, and you can listen to the show anywhere around the world. Also, we're on Facebook, live on Facebook and Twitter. If you're on Facebook, let's go ahead and share. Go ahead and share if you're on Facebook as well. If somebody needs to listen to the show or wants to listen to the show that may not have a computer, what have you, may not know how to navigate the web, just text them, WPMMradio.com. Put that in the message field. All they have to do is click on that link, hit play, and they can listen to the show as well. Have Miss Rivers on tonight. Good to see you, Miss Serena. How you doing, Miss Serena? Hope all is well with you. Good to see you on here tonight. So again, if you're on Facebook, let's go ahead and share. Go ahead and share, because I want, especially church folk. I need some church folks on here tonight, because I have a direct question to ask church folks tonight. So let's go ahead and share. Go ahead and share. Okay, the views and opinions expressed by individual radio hosts and guests are their own and does not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WPMM Radio. WPMM does not intend to align with any religion, ethnic group, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Again, I read that every time I go on the air, because I know I say a lot of things to piss people off. And may try to sue me, but you can't sue me for telling the truth. And I always say, if you do sue me and win, I got 17 cents in that famous jelly jar that sits next to my bed. And if you win, that's all you're getting out of me. So that's all you're getting. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Once again, share if you're on Facebook. Putting your comments in the comment section on Facebook. We're not taking phone calls tonight, so if you're on Facebook, put your comments in the comment section. You can go to, if you're listening on the app, you can go into your Facebook and go into the TTWG Graham is the way you can find it on Facebook. Also, Jeff Dawson, WPMM Radio. You can find it there as well. So, but if you're out there, let me know you're out there. I can see have a couple people on, but I can't see who you are. So if you're out there, let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit a heart, hit something. Let me know you're out there. But let's start out. And the topic of the show today is this topic's Thursday, but I started talking about this on Monday night. I had two guests. I had Miss Barbara Tyson on, and I had Mr. Sean Parker in the studio with me this past Monday night, and we was talking about the issues in the community, is particularly with the violence, streaming from the last shooting that took place last weekend over on Palafox, across the street from Club Climax. We were talking about the violence and what can be done and the reason for the violence. We were discussing all those type issues. And one of the things that I wanted to discuss that we really did not get to is the church. And you probably asking, well, Gerald, what does the church have to do with anything? Well, let me answer that question since she asked. Church has a lot to do with a lot of things, particularly in the Black community. The church is one of the pillars of the Black community. A lot of things happen in and around the church. People, particularly Black people, tend to seek refuge in the church. When they have problems, they go to the church. When they're grieving, they go to the church. When they're hurting, they go to the church. When they need prayer, they go to the church. Oftentimes, when they need help with their daily activities, their bills and things of that nature, they may look to the church. So the church has been a pillar in the Black community. And I'm old enough to remember when church was about saving souls. Not saying that in today's society, churches aren't in the business of saving souls, because there are some churches out there who are concerned about your well-being, and not only will offer prayer, but will offer assistance and guidance. But in today's society, in today's church, the church has become an institution, if you will. It has become a corporate conglomerate. It has become almost a for-profit type situation. And what do you mean by that, Mr. Gerald? What are you talking about? Well, I'm saying that because a lot of the churches are more about the finances than they are about the souls in the church. And I say that because you can go into a church, and before the sermon comes is how much are you going to give. It's a God loves a cheerful giver, and is Will a man rob God? And they talk about all this, and the collection plate come around, and uh, I've been in churches where there's not enough money collected, and I need this much more. I need everybody to pull out a $20 bill. I need everybody in the church to pull out. I've been in churches and I've seen all that, and it's bothering, it's irritating. Um, so the church is not what it used to be when I was coming up in church. I was one of those church kids. I grew up in church. I was in church. It seemed like I was in church more than I was out on the playground. When I was a small kid, my mom kept us in church. I was tired of going to church. But like I say, church has become so uh, greedy. I hate to use that word when it comes to the church, but the church has become so greedy, if you will, it's all about money. Mr. Pugh has joined us. How you doing tonight, Mr. Pugh? Um, he even put a comment in. He said that same church used to be the pillar, but they have shifted. You're exactly right, Mr. Pugh. It has shifted, and that's what we're talking about today. Um, but as far as our community goes, and I'm asking this question. Uh, I'm going to ask this question, and anyone that's listening can answer this question. You can put it in the comments. But what has your church, the church that you attend, can you tell me something that your church has done to assist in the community, regardless of what the purpose was, whether it's a food drive or if it was a clothing giveaway or you know something that has been done in the community. I'm not talking about Sister Lewis selling dinners in the back of the church for the building fund. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outside of the church in the community. What has your church done? What has your church done to assist or help in the community? And I want some people that I need somebody to answer that question. If your church has done nothing that you know about, I want to hear that too. And I know some people may be hesitant to answer that question. Some people may be hesitant to put their church out on Front Street like that. But we have to start being real, people. We have to start being real. We cannot sit and hide. Try to hide behind the church and try to hide behind God. We have to be real because we're not going to get in these issues resolved if we keep pretending like they're not there. So the question again is on the bottom of the screen. What has your church done to help in the community? Out in the community, actually in the community, not within the four walls of the church. No cake sales that goes to the pastor's appreciation day or whatever the case may be. We ain't talking about that. Um, we're not talking about where you collected funds to put paint on the walls in the pastor's office. I'm not talking about any of that kind of stuff that goes on within the church, out in the community. What has your church done? The church that you currently attend, what have they done to help in the community in the last year? We'll just restrict it to the last year. What have they done? I don't go back to 1975 and say they did this and that and other. In the last year, what has your church done? If your church haven't done anything, again, answer that as well. But that question is out there. I'm looking for someone to answer. But you guys know that I go hard on the church. I go really hard on the church, and I go hard on the church because hound the people and the organizations that should be standing up in the community and doing the right things and making moves to get your community going in the right direction. And that's the church, that's our elected officials, um, I even our educators, our mentors, our coaches, things with people who are in the community that plays a role in community events. And even sports is a community event. If you're a coach, um, if you're a president of a ballpark, what community wise are you doing within your ballpark for the community? Are you doing things to? I know that you're bringing in the kids, and the kids are participating in the activities or what have you, but are you doing anything outside of just the game? In the off season, are you doing anything to help these kids in the off season? And I know it takes time. It takes dedicated volunteers, things of that nature. I understand all that, but what are we doing? Miss Saber has joined us. How you doing tonight, Miss Saber? Good to see you on. Good to see you on. But again, the question being posed is on the screen. What has your church done to help the community? I say within the past year, what have your church done outside of the four walls of the church to help in the community? And this conversation is about the particular Pensacola, because we're in Pensacola. I'm in Pensacola. We're broadcasting from Pensacola, Florida, Escambia County, and this is where I live. This is where I raise my kids. This is where most of you listening are raising your kids, and we have to take care of home first before we can tackle issues outside of our community. It's hard to solve national issues when your own house is in shambles. You have to get your own home in order before you can go out and try to solve other people's issues. And that's where we are. The Pensacola has a big issue, has a major issue that we need help in resolving, particularly with this violence. And for people that may not know, there was another shooting. Actually, there was a shooting and a stabbing the same night. The stabbing took place over near Town and Country Plaza. Um, and then we had a young man to be killed as he left Club Climax. And that's just one of a string of shootings that has taken place. And keep in mind about these shootings, and one thing people don't understand is that all these shootings are not televised. All these shootings don't make the news reel. Uh, there are so many reports of shootings where there may not be a victim. So if there's not a victim, is not likely that you will see that on the news. But you can go down to the sheriff's office and look at the police log, ask to look at the police log in regards to the calls that they have had, and you will see that the number of calls that they get, shots fired, far outweigh the homicides and the people that are injured. Thank God that these people that in these type of calls, they're not getting hit. But that don't take away the fact that people are still shooting. Guns are a major issue in our community. Most of the kids, the people that are shooting are under the age of 21 and not supposed to even have a handgun. Up until you're 21, you can, at 18, you can have a rifle as far as a shotgun type deal um, for hunting, things of that nature, but you cannot legally possess a firearm, a handgun, if you will. But if you look at the people that are being arrested for these shootings. They're getting younger and younger and younger. You look at the court law, the court docket, and you see juvenile after juvenile, young adult under the age of 21 coming up in these court cases on gun charges, whether they fire them or have them in their possession, and they're not even supposed to have them. So they're not buying them from the pawn shops and the stores, even though it is it's possible for a 14, 15-year old to go buy a gun at a gun show, but they're not buying them legally. If they're buying them, oftentimes they're stolen. Um, and then we as adults have to be more vigilant and more careful in our storage of our firearms. Uh, One of the main things or main places where these young people are getting guns is they're stealing them out of people's cars. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I've never left a firearm in my vehicle, because I have. I have been careless from time to time and left my firearm in my vehicle. And I know I should not do that. That should not happen. I try to be as vigilant as possible and not allow it to happen. Um, but at the same time, I try to make an effort, whether my gun is in my vehicle or not, I make an effort to keep my door locked. But a lot of these guns are coming from vehicles. They're being stolen out of vehicles. And then you have situations where these guns are coming from out of the household, to where adults have guns in the household and they're not properly stored. The kids in the home are aware of the gun and where it is. And if you're keeping a gun in the house, I can almost guarantee you that you're not checking on that firearm on a daily basis. I can almost guarantee that you're not going to that closet or going to that drawer or whatever where that firearm is being stored and checking to see if it's there every day. Now, if it's stored in a locked box or whatever the case, safe, whatever the case may be, there's no need to check it every day. But if you're keeping your firearm unsecured, whether it's in a drawer, on a table, under the bed, or whatever the case may be, and you're not checking on it every day, you don't know if you have young adults or people in your house. You don't know when that gun may disappear. It could disappear and come back, and you never know if you're not vigilant in checking that weapon on a daily basis. But these kids are getting these guns, and these kids do not know what diplomacy is. These kids do not know how to be diplomatic in resolving their issues. These kids are shooting first. They're shooting first. They, is you get a fist fight every now and then, but for the most part, nowadays, a fist fight ends in gunfire. It's not like it used to be, and we can't sit and harp on what it used to be back in the day to get a resolution to today's issues. We can't apply yesterday's values to today's issues. We have to be innovative. We have to come up with new ideas, new tactics, in ways to fight against all the violence that's going on. And that's why I talk about it so much, because nothing starts without a conversation. Nothing starts without a conversation. And getting back to the topic, as far as the church goes, the church plays a major role in the Black community. And I hate to put so much emphasis on the church, but These are just my personal beliefs. These are, I'm not getting this from anybody else or whatever, what have you. These are my personal beliefs. I just believe that the church has to do more than what they're doing. We have some great pastors and some great churches out there that's doing great work in the communities. Um, I don't want to get into calling names or names of churches that are doing this. You guys as in the community, you know what churches are doing this, and at the same time, you know what churches are not doing nothing. Somebody listening to this broadcast tonight goes to a church and they cannot sit and think of anything that church has done outside of the four walls of that church. They can't think of anything or any program that was implemented for the benefit of the community, uh, other than what takes place on Sunday mornings and Wednesday night at Bible study. People that's listening right now, the question is still up there. What has your church done to help the community? If you're just joining us, that's what we're talking about at this juncture of the show. What has the church done to help in the community? I'm looking for someone to answer. It looked like Mr. Pugh has put a comment in, and if I can focus my eyes long enough to see the comment, we're going to read it. He said, G, most church members are afraid to ask the pastor about what church is doing for the community, but the church about help in need. And I'm sorry, I can read, I just can't see. I promise you, people. Um, about helping people in need and that they are to those me. Okay, I think I get the gist of it. You mentioned Catholic charities, as far as directing church members to Catholic charities for assistance. Catholic Charities is a wonderful organization. Uh, is funded, is privately funded. I take that back. It's not just privately funded. They do get state grants and things of that nature to assist. Um, but Catholic Charities is an organization, just like Red Cross, things of that nature. But they are there to assist. So and if I can, and I apologize that I can't see crap. Um, but if the churches, if the black churches conducted themselves like Catholic charities, that would be a big step in the right direction. But it mentioned it's called Catholic charities, which means is the basis of it. The base of that particular organization is for the Catholic religion. Um, and there are a lot of black Catholic people, but the majority of black people are tend to be Baptists, uh, whether Southern Baptist, whatever, what have you, and Muslim. So again, what has your church, anyone listening to the sound of my voice tonight, the church you attend, what has your church done to help in the community? Don't be scared. Don't be scared to speak out. It's necessary to speak out. Things are the way they are because we tend not to want to speak out. We tend to want to brush things under the rug. We tend to not want to call people out when they're may not be doing the right thing. We are too secretive. We've learned from our and I'm going kind of off target here, but it has been passed along for years and years. The mentality of the slave to shut your mouth. in slavery days. They couldn't, unless they was amongst themselves, they could not say what they wanted to say. They could not speak how they felt. They could not emphasize on anything that is going to benefit them to the powers that be. And that mentality has manifested itself over the years. And to this day, particularly Black people, we tend to want to stay silent on issues that make a difference in our everyday life. We're afraid of what's going to happen if we speak out. We're afraid of the consequences. I have this issue, and I'm not talking about me, because I done told a lot of people off. But anyway, we go on our jobs, and people disrespect us and mistreat us on our jobs, and we're hesitant to speak out because we're worried about the consequences. We're worried about the fallout of being straight up and honest about your feelings in regards to people, how people are treating you. And we tend to shut up and not say anything. And that mentality has, again, manifested itself from the days of being enslaved by slave owners, because we were not allowed to articulate anything about how we felt about anything, or what we thought should be done, or how it should be done, because we were oppressed, and we have adopted that oppression mentality, and we have to get out of that. But anyway, I I'm not telling you to go to your pastor and be disrespectful or whatever the case may be. But like Mr. Pugh said, in this comment, he says most church members are afraid to ask the pastor about what the church is doing for the community. That's the line right there. And Mr. Pugh, you are spot on. You are hit the nail on the head with that sentence right there. They are afraid to go to their pastor and question their pastor about what they are doing in the community. What is the church doing? So I'm still looking for answer to that question. Put it in the comments. What has your church done to help the community? If it's nothing, put nothing. If you don't know, even if you don't know, that's an easy one. If you don't know, just say I don't know. But our pastors, and when I talk about the church, I have to talk about the pastors, because the pastors are the head of the church, and they are the ones who usually call the shots. Even though we have a particular structure within the church, particularly the Baptist church, where the deacons have certain authorities over certain things, what have you. Um, it ultimately come down to that pastor. And even with the deacons, we hell, we got to get deacons that act like deacons half the time. Got to have people on the deacon board that are about the people of the church and about the community, and not about themselves. And I don't even want to start on deacons. But what are these pastors doing? And like I say, the church has gravitated toward being a business rather than a place of refuge. It's all about money in a lot of these churches. Me personally, I don't trust mega churches, because there's what are you doing? What are you doing for the community? I'm all for pastors, having a salary or whatnot. I'm all for that, but I don't think that pastors should profit for the church. I don't think that pastors should be um, buying private jets when the people that are paying money to the church can't afford to keep their lights on. When that 70-year-old lady is eating uh, oatmeal because that's the only thing that she can afford. But she's putting money in the church every week. She has the window open because her power is out. She's sitting by a candle because she's giving that money to the church every week, but she can't afford her electric bill. What is the church doing for the community? Mr. Pugh put another comment, and we're gonna focus on this one. Let me see if I can focus. That they give college scholarships to kids in church. Um, I've known some churches to do scholarships. Um, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. Um, I'm gonna tell you what my deal is with scholarships and as far as the church goes. Because every church is not doing it. There are some churches that doing it. Not every church, but uh, here's my issue with that. And again, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. But why are our kids having to compete for this scholarship? Because scholarship dollars in the church is not, it's not going to pay for your tuition. It's not. It's going to help in getting you a few books or whatever. I haven't seen any major college scholarships coming out of particularly local churches to where it's going to pay tuition, where it's going to pay room and board. Um, but it might be enough money in there to buy books. Um, it may be enough money to go toward your tuition, but you got to get scholarships and get funds from other places in order to meet the yearly amount that it costs to go to college. I've had the opportunity and the experience in sending two of my boys to college, and I was unable to attain any type of scholarship money from any church during that process. Is because, and I'm not going to go into the details of the reason, but they have to compete a lot of times for this money, this scholarship money. And if you're going to give a scholarship, I don't think it should be a competition. Shouldn't be a competition. It should be, if you have a scholarship fund, um, particularly within your church, and that's another thing is that those kids are in that church. Um, they're not going out in the community and selecting kids to give scholarships to. They're doing it within the church. Um, it must be also said based on GPA. Yeah, like I say, they is, and that's another thing. Since we're talking about GPAs, and I'm going to talk about, let me get off the church for a minute. Let me get off the church, halfway off the church for a minute. Uh, these a lot of these organizations and these churches and these scholarships base what these kids do off their grade point average. Everyone's not a scholar. Everyone is not book smart. Everybody can't have a 3.0. A lot of kids do not have the ability to obtain a 3.0 grade point average. They have, whether it be a learning disability or just lack of resources or what have you. But everybody do not have the opportunity to have a GPA of 3.0 to qualify for these scholarships. And most of these scholarships, 3.0 is the minimum that you can have to get some of these scholarships. Um, like I say, I think if you're going to give scholarships, particularly to these kids, it should be where they don't have to compete for it. I don't think because a child has a 2.5 grade point average, I don't think that they should be excluded from any scholarships or any organizations because they have a 2.0 or 2.5, but they still have aspirations of furthering their education, whether it be through a college or a technical college, or what have you. If you're going to give scholarships, give it to those kids, regardless of their GPA, regardless of where they came from. Give it to them so that they can use that to further their education. And I'm kind of switching gears here and kind of getting off the church for a hot second. And when I talked about this on Monday as well, uh, these organizations that these kids are affiliated with, some of them are good, great organizations, but we need to restructure. We need to restructure. If I think last weekend or the weekend before that, there was this big to do at Pensacola High School with the G code, if you will, and with this G code, uh, uh, this program that they had, they sold tickets to this function. The kids in different organizations, and don't make me name the organizations because I'm not familiar with a lot of them. I know Lamplighters is a part of it. Uh, it's wonderful that those kids are part of something positive, such as that. Showing off whatever talents they had at this G Code event, being a part of whatever organization they were a part of, where they come from. That is a wonderful thing because every one of those kids, my understanding, there was over 400 kids that participated in this particular event. My beef comes in a situation where you have kids, because most of those organizations have these requirements, if you will. You have to have a certain GPA. You have to have you have to pay this due, and you have to pay these dues, and you have to pay this much a year, and you have to be able to buy this particular uniform. You have to be able to buy this type of shoe. You have to be able to, you know, pay this amount of money when they do events or whatever the case may be. The kids that we really need to reach, 9 times out of 10 don't have the resources to pay these fees to be a part of your organization. 9 times out of 10, the kids that are in in these organizations, those kids have a foundation. Those kids are already on. Most of them are already on the right path. So it's almost like preaching to the choir, if you will. But the kids that we really need to reach, the kids out of the projects, the kids out of low income housing, the kids that are struggling with not having their parents, the kids that are living in foster care situations, the kids that don't have the advantages of being able to have the resources and the finances to be a part of this organization, that don't have the resources and schools to be able to learn effectively and maintain a 3.0 grade point average to be eligible for these organizations. Those are the kids we really need to be trying to reach. And if we have these youth organizations that are turning these kids away because they don't have those financial resources, because they don't have that 3.0 GPA, I think that it need to be restructured. That makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. And I can guarantee you that a lot of those kids that are in that situation want to be a part of one of those organizations that performed at the G Code, but they can't afford it. They don't have the GPA to be in it. So why are we leaving those kids out? Those are the ones we have to reach. Those are the ones that are more prone and more susceptible to fall into the streets for refuge and for love, what they call on the streets. They're more likely to fall prey to the streets. So if an organization, um, a youth organization, could open their arms and open their hearts and open their doors to these kids who are not as privileged, I think that would help to solve a lot of the issues that we're having in the community. It could help put these kids that are in bad situations, bad conditions, bad neighborhoods or whatever. It could help put those kids in a better situation, even for a minute, to give them hope that, you know, the street life is not the only life out there. Just because you're from the hood don't mean that you have to be hood. So again, I don't. If anybody listening who is, um, Mr. Pugh said, "What's wrong with trade school? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing is. Trade school is a wonderful thing. Trade school should be. Uh, it should be open and free to anybody who wants to go to trade school, because college is not for everybody. College, a lot of time, college is a trick. College is a trick to a lot of people. I guarantee you. I guarantee you, and I want you to do. I want you to do an experiment for me, for the people who are listening. I want you to do an experiment for me when you go to work tomorrow. Um, when you go to work tomorrow, I want you to ask three people who work with you. Did they go to college? No, I want you to find three people. Find three people that went to college that work with you. And when you find those three people that went to college that work with you, ask them, did they major in the job that they're doing today? And I can almost guarantee you that out of those three, two of them are going to say, my major has nothing to do with what I'm doing today. So sometimes college can be a trick, but trade schools are a wonderful thing. Trade schools, it can be the difference in somebody living a good life and living a life of poverty without having to, you know, write essays and do a whole lot of stuff that has nothing to do with everyday life. Give those people, it'll give those people opportunity to do something. I know a lot of people who has a trade, um, whether it's plumbing, being an electrician, HVAC, uh, automobile repair, what have you, welding. Uh, there's a lot of people that have come out of a trade school and learned a skill that are making a whole lot of money today. School should be school should almost be required. You don't want to go to college? Okay, sign up for trade school. I think our education system has to be restructured uh, to where it's teaching life skills versus what X equals. For the life of me, I failed one class. I failed one class in my whole entire uh, 12 years of school. 13 if you want to count kindergarten. In 12 years of going to school, I failed one class, and that was algebra. And I failed one semester of algebra because I couldn't figure out what the hell X equals. Why am I, who gives a damn about X? I've been out of school for a lot of years. I have been employed with different employers. I have done different types of jobs. I have 25 plus years experience in management and being a supervisor in my adult life, and I have yet to run across that damn X. I've never had to figure out what X equals. So if I was going to be a physicist, maybe maybe I needed to know what that X equal. But in my line of work in the different jobs that I've had, I've never had to do an algebra problem. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Those are the four things that I do on a regular basis. Even in my job today, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That X does not play a role. Well, one day, Mr. Pugh, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about that X because I ain't seen it in 30, 40 years of being an adult. I haven't seen that X. And I can say I've been in situations where I've been in industrial management, I've been in food management, I've been in personnel management. Um, I've I'm in case management. I've done it. I've done it all. And if that X is looming around me and then snipped up on me somewhere, then so be it. But I hadn't experienced anything of it that I've seen in the algebra class. I have not experienced that in life to this date. Uh, right, and those things, I would have benefited more. I would have benefited more by coming through high school and learning life skills and or a trade, if you will, than I spent trying to figure out what that X equal. Because that one class in my 12 years of school that I failed one semester of it is almost like I wasted time having to attend summer school to make up that semester of figuring out what X equal when I could have been doing something that I feel could have been more productive in my development. I would have loved to participated in learning HVAC systems or learning, you know, being an electrician or things of that nature. We're in the computer age now. We're in digital age. Um, I would have loved to have those type of activities and not being in a school like West Florida where you have to, basically be in a lottery and get picked to go to the school or whatever to take part in these programs that West Florida Tech have, because that's not afforded to everyone. Only a select few um, of those kids get to go to that high school and participate in those um, those programs. I know there's other high schools that got a couple of programs, what have you, but West Florida Tech is the one that has like the nursing and the law enforcement and things of that nature. They have those type of programs, engineering. Um, but that should be at every high school. That should be at every middle school. The basics. So I know I got off topic a little bit. Getting back to the church. Getting back to the church. The question of the day was, what has your church done to help in the community? Mr. Pugh brought up the fact that trade schools was, again, in the church. There's people in the church that are diverse, have a plethora of different type of skills that you have people in the church. When it comes to trade school, what's wrong with these churches opening their doors and having their deacons and their members mentor these kids in their trade. They may be an electrician. Why not bring those kids into the church, or send those church members or those deacons or those pastors out in the community and meeting at the community center in the community, or in the park or on the basketball court, and having a session to where it teach these kids how to do this trade, or give them kids information about where they can go to have access to these tools, to where they can grow and prosper, versus hanging out on the corner and waiting on that next drug sale, or waiting on that next hit of that blunt, or drinking that that uh that 40 ounce, or whatever the case may be. The church need to do more. The church has to do more, and that's my gripe today. That is one of the things that I will always harp on, because again, the church is the pillar of the community. The church is where Black people seek refuge, where they seek guidance and assistance. It's the Black church. So for all the pastors out there, if your church is doing things in the community, kudos to you. Continue on with that journey. Uh, Add more and more to what you're doing to help these kids get off these streets. If you're one of those pastors that ain't doing diddly squat, you need to get up off your behind, get from behind that pulpit, and Mr. Pugh said some churches are afraid of lawsuits. I'll put it like this: if you're in the church and you're doing the right thing, God will protect you. Trust in God. And that's how the church folks tell you always: trust in God. So you ain't supposed to be afraid in the church. You're supposed to step out on faith. I heard church folks say that all the time: step out on faith. So, but yeah, church people, pastors, let's get out in the community. Let's do something to help these kids in the community and not in the four walls of your church. Um, these kids need you. They need the security and of the church. They need the people of the church to open their arms and stop criticizing them as far as what they may be doing, and point them in the direction of what they need to be doing without the criticism. Stop expecting these kids to come to the church as saints. And if they don't come in the church and act like a saint, then you ridiculing them, and you criticizing them, and you running them away from the place that they came to seek refuge. But somewhere in the Bible, and I'm not a Bible scholar, can't quote scriptures or whatever, but I know it says somewhere in there, it says, "Come as you are." It didn't say it didn't say get right before you come and seek. It says, "Come as you are." But that's my spiel for the day, people. That's my spiel for the day. I want to thank you guys for tuning in right here on WPMM Internet Radio on The Truth with G. I'm just an old guy that just want to do and see good before I leave this earth. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm concerned about what goes on in our community, what goes on around us. I'm concerned about my well-being and my neighbors' well-being. I'm concerned about our kids and their futures, not just my kids, all kids. I'm concerned about them, um, because these kids are our future. What is this world going to be like if our kids are lost, and there's no one take over in our future. No one to care for us in our latter years. Because we all if you keep on living, you're gonna get old. So you're gonna have to rely on these young folks to take care of you, whether it is family members or someone in the medical field or the uh, in the field of Social Security office or whatever. We have to groom these kids to be in position to where they can help us when we get in our latter years, when we're not able to take care of ourselves. And the kids that we have coming up nowadays is crucial. We have a lot of good kids. And all kids are good until they're taught bad habits. We just need to make sure as adults we're not teaching these kids these bad habits. So, but once again, thank you for tuning in. I will be back on Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. right here on WPMM Radio. Make sure that you tune in. Um, we'll be talking about issues that matter to you and your community. And, if I can get one person to listen and one person that might get something out of what I say, I feel like my work has been done. So I do this, guy. I do this for you guys. I don't do this for me. I do it to help you. Because without you, I wouldn't be here. So I do this for you. But once again, thank you. We'll see you on Thursday. Until then, y'all be safe, be blessed, and I am out of here.